Today's video is just going to be a quick refresher reminder on a problem that I covered a few years ago. Now this is going to be about a 2005 board with no communication. Now you're mainly going to see this with 2005 but not 2003 or 2004 because that's a different board revision. Now I have seen this in 2006 and 2007. They're just not as popular as clusters, or must not have made as many as 05. But anyway, so what's going on is this cluster appears to work. It boots up, the stepper motors zero out, displays come up, but there's no communication. There's no bus communication at all. So meaning you're not going to get your little dash line to show you which gear you're in. Message center is going to have lots of missing information, but mainly what you'll notice is the 4 gauges over here not responding, and also since this is a 2500, the trans temp gauge also won't respond. Now the RPM and mile per hour still work because they have their own analog inputs. So the customer complaint on this one was not only these gauges not working, but they cannot communicate to it with the scan tool. Now, like I said, I covered this before a few years ago, but this problem probably could use a little bit more attention. I'm starting to see it pop up a little bit more and more. So I'm just going to check continuity. So we're talking about the transceiver chip. This is the 56585. That's GM's proprietary number, but it's U16. For 2005, it's tucked under here. And it needs to see 12 volts. It's tied to the 12 volt line, actually the input of the voltage regulator. And so the bottom left-hand pin, you'll be able to see this easier when I get it up under the microscope, but there should be continuity from this bottom left-hand pin to the top input of the voltage regulator, this top pin here. I'm not getting any continuity. So let's just pull up a known good board, and we're gonna check that also. Bottom left-hand pin to the top of the voltage regulator, and we get continuity. So there we confirmed we have an open circuit. So the trace somewhere between here and here, I back traced it before, it's somewhere like in this area here, there's an open, but we're just gonna run a jumper and electromagnet wire. This solid strand coated wire works great for running jumpers like this. So let's take a closer look. Okay, let's try it again, this time with the jumper. So now we should get some sort of communication, and we do. Now we're getting movement. Get the little dash under the P too, but that's it. So I did route the wire kind of away from this hole right here because this clip sticks up through that hole, so you kind of want to dodge that area. Now if you want, you could conformal coat this jumper down. I'll maybe put just a dot on it just to keep it from moving, but it'll be fine. So that is it. Hopefully this will save somebody some headache. If anyone out there is fighting the same issue, you just need a jumper wire. One more thing, as long as we're talking about 2005 problems, I get quite a few emails of people asking me, why is my driver information display dim? And this is one of those problems that seems to just affect 2005, 6, and 7. And unfortunately, the displays are just not as good. Something happened in 2005. Now, 2003 and 4, even though it's the exact same thing, they hardly ever go dim. But 2005, these started to go dim with some age and use in miles. This one's at 250. and you can kind of already noticeably tell it's dimmer than the Prindle. A couple things you can try. Make sure this 1.2K resistor doesn't have a fractured joint. Check the outside pins on the display, but unfortunately there's nothing you can do. These are not sold separately new, so you can't just buy a new display and put it in. You can get a donor board and steal one off. Actually, I recommend a 2003 or 4 donor board, but it's kind of at the spot where you might as well just replace the cluster, because you're gonna have to buy a donor board anyways, so you might as well just buy a donor board you can use, because these are kind of a pain to replace, especially if you don't have a good soldering equipment. I wouldn't recommend trying to replace this with just like wick and a soldering iron. You're going to be pretty miserable. And again, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I do appreciate it. Yeah, we'll see you next time.